Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and today Eitan and I are exploring the moving target of loving our imperfect selves. This is the week of, it's actually the full moon of the month of Leo falls in this week, and it's giving us the opportunity, together with the energy as we're going to understand it from the portion of this week, really a alignment of opportunity that perhaps comes only once, maybe twice a year, to connect with the part of ourselves, with the version of ourselves that is already perfect, that is already completely corrected, aligned, in sync, expressing the highest capacity, highest potential of itself. And even though, again, this is one of those concepts that maybe seems like a great thing to meditate on, but practically speaking, it's not possible, we are going to understand, hopefully by the end of this episode, how it's not only possible, it is an essential practice on our spiritual journey to be in touch with that part of ourselves, how to borrow from that version of ourselves in times of need, and to give ourselves the constant permission to be human, while we're also giving ourselves the encouragement to be more of our limitless soul. Weekly Energy Boost is a 7-day spiritual weather forecast where we provide our listeners with the most practical and powerful tools to overcome and transform in the coming 7 days. We do that by sharing the wisdom and tools that come from the teachings of Kabbalah, so that every week ends up offering wisdom and tools that are not only going to support you this week, but they can support you any week of the year, any year of your life. And the cornerstone of this opportunity comes from the fact that this week contains within it the cosmic window called Tu B'Av, which literally means 15th of the month of Leo, or the full moon of Leo, in which the sun and the moon are aligned. It's the one day of the year where they share the sky, and that allows for a balancing, calibrating of the masculine and feminine in each one of us, the giver and the receiver, the perfect version of us and the work in progress. And so we want to dedicate this episode to understanding what that means, how to incorporate that into our practice, and to be really focused on the journey of self-love as a spiritual tool to have a more soulful-led life. Eitan, where should we begin?
I think it's beautiful how seemingly there are contradicting teachings. Last week, we spoke about the concept that the only way you truly call upon the support of the light for growth, for transformation, if you are connecting and seeing how far you are from your potential. And in this week, in the holiday of love, we're saying you need to actually love yourself and connect to your perfected self. So where is the balance? By the way, we need these two forces. There's time to see how far I am, but it's so important to come from not doubting myself in my core and in my essence. So Rav Berg's teachers, Rav Brunwein, share that sometimes when we are starting to focus on our flaws, we start to believe how flawed we are. And we treating ourselves as less than, as unworthy, are incapable, which there's partial truth to it. Yes, in this process of growth, of transformation, I am far from my potential. But does it mean I need to dislike myself? Does it mean I'm going to like myself? I'm going to be happy with myself? I'm going to have a positive attitude only when I'll change? Here's the mistake. Not at all. And we need to juggle between these two places. I am far from my potential, but I need to treat myself and to feel about myself that I'm a whole and complete human being. To love myself in Kabbalistic perspective is, like you mentioned, Elisheva, is to know that in the real reality, my potential already there. So in my potential already there, and that's my true essence, I need to love myself now. And it's much easier when you look at the little baby and maybe they're messing up and they happen to be a little naughty and so on, but you love them endlessly because somehow their true essence is radiating. So Kabbalistically, it says, here is the two contradiction. In one hand, the light doesn't come unless a person craves the light. In the other hand, the light doesn't come to a person that believes he's flawed. So I have to be in two places. I for sure wants to grow to go to my next level, but I need to treat myself emotionally as I'm not flawed. Be happy with myself. Embrace myself, believe in myself. But how do you do it when you feel flawed? And that's the concept, a new concept. When you catch yourself too attached to your flaws as if it's your essence, that's the time to pause and to say, please, the Creator, I know that in my true essence, I'm complete, I'm whole. Allow me to love and to embrace my true essence and allow me to feel the emotions of joy as if I'm aligned completely. I want to borrow a state of happiness. I want to borrow the state of excitement. I want to borrow the state of trust in the Creator, trust in myself. Yeah, but I'm not there. There's always two reality, process reality and the real reality beyond time. I need to juggle between the two. Elisheva, how would you unpack it in a practical level?
It's so interesting to me when I hear you talking, and I think also about the people that I'm speaking to and the journey that life takes each individual on in order for them to become the best version of themselves, how the greatest joy and the greatest fulfillment actually comes from our overcoming, our transcending, our going through a difficult process and coming out on the other side a better person. We know that about ourselves, right? We celebrate graduations and anniversaries and we acknowledge how far we've come. But at the same time, we constantly seek relief from misery and suffering as though the temporary fulfillment is all we need in life. And it makes me think about how even in TV and movies, when we're watching something, right, and the main character has a problem to solve or is in an impossible situation and emerges from it, not only by the skin of their teeth, but with success, with achievement, with, I can't believe I did that, or I figured out how to solve it, or we know that that transcendence is what we crave. The old me never would have been able to do that. That's the ultimate fulfillment. So I think it's hardest for us to understand on the day-to-day when I feel less than, when I wonder, and I had a conversation with someone about this the other day. She's afraid she's never going to find her person. She's never going to find romantic love in this lifetime. The part of us that's flawed is actually the part that's meant to bring us to that fulfillment. What do I mean? So many times in life, people have gifts to share, or talents, or creativity, or wisdom inside them that is blocked behind an insecurity, a fear, a self-doubt, very often a self-worth issue. Who am I? Or maybe I'm so broken, or I'm so far gone, or I'm so old that I can't catch up. The goal isn't catching up. The goal is in the becoming right now. And I feel like, I wish there was a way that we could have like a daily reminder, or something that comes up every 12 hours even, to remind us, don't worry about the result. Worry about the process. So many times in meetings when I work with people one-on-one, I remind them, you are your most important project. And when you have an actual project, if it's renovating your home, maybe you have a garden, you have a hobby, something you're collecting, part of why we do those things is the struggle. How do I figure it out? How do I put the pieces together? How do I design what I'm trying to orchestrate in a way for maximum results? But in our own lives, we don't allow ourselves to go through the struggle, the confusion, the feeling of inadequacy that might come up. And at the same time, like, if you're working on if you believe in a product that you're creating, and a vendor tells you, I don't have that ingredient, or, we're no longer able to fulfill that order, you don't look at it and say, well, forget about it then. You tell your employees that we're done. No, you say, okay, we're going to figure this out. I need to find someone else. I need to pivot. Maybe there's another form. In your mind, you're not going to give up on the project that's outside of you. It's so much easier to give up on the project within us, which is our own growth. And I think that when you look at your own becoming as the main project, the main purpose for your existence, it helps to give you that grace, that compassion, that empathy to tap into. Because, I'm going to make it as simple as I can. People like to do crossword puzzles or Sudoku, or these puzzle activities. Why? Because we love the feeling that comes from completing a challenge. That's what video games are based on. That's what sports is based on. Why do we not allow ourselves to get the thrill of overcoming, of solving, of transforming from our own growth, when that's literally what puts us on the planet in every lifetime?
But
So
I
I
have a
feel like,
question.
yeah.
I'm sorry, you didn't finish your thought.
No, I finished. Go.
So I get the message, but let's say we're in the midst of a process. And intellectually, I know that I will grow from that breakup in relationship. And intellectually, I know that I'll break through. There's a new path in my life right now, that it's uncomfortable. So, but Kabbalistically, it says it's not just the joy that come after overcoming the challenge. Right now, in the present moment, to the extent I'm in a state of joy and actually in a state of liking myself, which that's actually what joy is about, inner joy, liking life, liking myself now. To the extent I have this the light can dwell in me, because the light does not dwell in flood. So I don't want just to forget the joy after I'll overcome. How do I bring myself to the state of joy in the process?
I don't think it's different than the crossword puzzle, meaning the completion of the puzzle isn't really where the joy comes from. It's the confusion, the thinking, the challenging ourselves. And I'm saying, like, the Kabbalists teach us that we should train ourselves to look forward to the confusion. When you hear the rejection, to get excited, because if I'm not getting what I want the way I want it, it must be that the light of the Creator has a better plan, that's a muscle you have to develop. It's not something that you can, there's no Kool-Aid to drink. It requires effort. The same way that if you want your biceps to be toned and you got to challenge your biceps, if you want your soul to be toned, to be stronger than the force of the ego, you have to train it to recognize the light and the darkness. Even though, and that's, I think, a big part of the lessons of these last few weeks and the opportunities we're being given is just because there's darkness doesn't mean there isn't light inside it. And the Zohar says it very clearly, right? Because of the darkness, we know light. Because of the bitterness, we know sweetness. And there's different other analogies. But the point is, it's in the solving, right? In order to solve, you have to have the problem. So the process of solving is where the joy comes from. And we have to train ourselves to crave the solving and not the not having a problem. And again, that's the
You
body
mean
and
to
soul
crave the
confusion.
process of solving, not just the solution.
Right. That it's
The
why
process.
we use the word becoming, because it's not being perfect. It's the becoming that's the process. The literal journey of it and not the destination is the goal.
So to pinpoint, and that's what I want to break it down for people, the source of energy of love, to feel the love from the Creator towards me, to be able to attract love in my life from others, to be able to give true love to someone else, to be able to feel the love of oneness, starts how much am I accepting, appreciating, loving. When you truly love in a full way, you're unlimited. When you believe you are less what you're supposed to be, there's no real self-love. So how do you, while you're in the process of solving, how do you actually, would be the pause to overcome that, the feeling of not liking myself as much as I would love to, not loving myself, focusing on the imperfection, because that's where the source of love, that's what's available this week. It's actually, it says full moon is in with the sun. It's the month of Leo, which the planet is the sun, and the moon are one. It means when my unlimited me and my limited me are at one. I'm not responding to the ups and downs of the moon. I'm not responding to the ups and downs of my regardless what's happening. I'm whole. Not just to say myself, to feel it. Because if I am not actually at state of joy with me now, not when, I can never attract real love and I can never give real love. So what would be because all of us falling into those moments of not really liking ourselves. So what will be the actual tools to shift that, to borrow from deep inside this different energy? Suddenly, you know what? I like myself. I feel the love. I'm becoming again unlimited. I have unlimited feelings about myself.
So what has helped me, and I don't know that it's going to resonate with everyone, but hopefully it will help enough people that will have this critical mass shift this week. I start when I feel that, I'm not good enough, which, by the way, sometimes isn't even conscious. You can't really pause on it until you actually say, wait a second, what did I just say to myself? Or what's the feeling that I'm experiencing now? I'm a loser. I'll never make it. I'll never catch up, all those things. You pause, and I think of something or someone that I love unconditionally. It happens to usually be one of my kids, depending on who's the good kid this week. And I think about them, and I wait in my body to feel the love welling up. By the way, it might be a pet for you, whoever you love unconditionally, to think of that being. And when you feel it, not just when you think about them, but really see them, allow that love to warm you a little bit. And then you remind yourself, I remind myself, I love and accept myself exactly as I am. I love, and with that, I'm saying I don't think it's enough to say it, and I don't think it's enough to think of someone else you love. I think when you marry the physical experience of unconditional love with the reprogramming of the belief that something is flawed, you can shift it. That practice repeatedly, not only when things get tough, but as you bring that I love and accept myself exactly as I am into your daily prayers, into your meditation practice, you begin to operate from a different space. And that space isn't something you've changed, because the Kabbalists teach the soul within us, that perfect part of us, isn't damaged. It can't be damaged. So all you're really doing is plugging into the deepest part of you, which is untouchable and perfect and pristine. So it really effectively just pushes out the other noise, pushes out the other evidence that you're anything other than that, and allows you to tap into that immutable truth that I am a spark of the light of the Creator, and I'm as exactly as I should be right now.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. But what comes to me as you're sharing, the seed of soulmate is actually being one with my own soul. And with that, thinking about your tool, which I'm thinking about sometimes my grandkids, it's the easier to stimulate unconditional love and such a longing and connections and only good, awaken this feeling, and then ask myself, 1 second, who am I beneath all the layers? Pure soul. And I'm hugging, embracing, loving, believing, getting closer, holding to that true essence of all my. And of course, it requires practice, but this week is the time to awaken that. Awaken that.
It's a beautiful opportunity, and I think just the awakening to bring it into part of our practice, to offset those moments of deep struggle, deep conflict about who I am and what I'm worthy of. It's an amazing practice to integrate. Weekly Energy Boost is available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You can follow us on all of those platforms to receive more content to help you live what we share in every episode. You can also go to weeklyenergyboost.com, where you can search through our archives, send us a message, ask us a question, or click the donate button to help make Weekly Energy Boost possible. But as always, spread the love by sharing this episode, helping more people be in touch with the perfect spark of the light inside of them. And we'll see you next week on Weekly Energy Boost.